When you looked yourself in the mirror today, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Hopefully it was something neutral, like, oh, that's me. But if it was more along the lines of, I don't like that part of me, or what if I look like that person? Maybe your thoughts even went to, I hate this part of me. It looks so ugly. No, this stops today. Today, we're saying goodbye to your inner critic. So how do we silence this voice that is nitpicking everything about ourselves that doesn't necessarily fit our idea of perfection? Well, here are my ways of combating it. First, I think it's important to understand why you're doing this inner work. You deserve peace and calmness on the inside. You deserve a kind inner voice that encourages you and lifts you up. Because there's already so much noise in our external world. Voices telling us that we need to look a certain way, have certain things by certain ages. Honestly, it's exhausting. In all of this chaos that we have, you deserve a place within yourself that you can call home. A place where those external voices are not allowed. A home that welcomes you with open arms and that takes care of you, energizes you, and lifts you up no matter what happens. Because when you know what you deserve, you start to see that that inner critic has no place in your life. And now when you know what you deserve, the next thing is to become conscious about your opinions about yourself. Become aware of how it is that you talk to yourself on a daily basis. And of course, Rome wasn't built in a day. This voice, we can't silence it from one day to another, but by doing steps each day, we can. So start by intentionally paying extra attention to the thoughts that come up in your mind when, for example, looking yourself in the mirror. Now, why should we do this? Some thoughts that we have, they're so common, like we think them every time we see ourselves, that they become just background noise. We don't even think about it. We don't even think about how we bully ourselves when we look ourselves in the mirror. And that needs to stop. Maybe you're fixated on your nose, then your attention goes automatically to criticizing it. And one thing that is also interesting is that every person you see, you're gonna look at their nose because you're so fixated on yours. It's so crucial to catch these thoughts when they arise. It could be anything from like, why do my arms look like this? If I had thicker hair, I'd be so much more beautiful, la la la. If you think that you would be happier if these thoughts went away, then let's get down to work to make them go away. Don't allow it. Now that you're aware of these thoughts, it's time to take action. When these negative or critical thoughts come up, you interrupt them and you say, hey, that's not nice, that's not true. It's like when someone calls out a comment that you made that maybe wasn't the nicest comment, and someone says, hey Julia, that was not nice, that's not true. Then of course you're gonna feel embarrassed and ashamed for saying that, for being mean. You should feel the same way when you talk badly to yourself, when you look yourself in the mirror. So after you tell yourself that, hey, that's not nice, that's not true, you give yourself 2 compliments. You can even tell yourself that, I'm sorry for saying that to you, because you should be. Then you give yourself 2 compliments. One about the part that you were criticizing, and one about anything else about yourself that you appreciate. It can be physical, personality trait, it can be something that you did really well. For me, that's how I started to say goodbye to my inner critic. Of course, it's still there, but I think everything, like, you're all the time a work in progress. Like, you're never gonna be finished. But I think that's how you start, not allowing your inner critic to control your thoughts. So now it's time to write these down and rewrite them. To reinforce this process, write down what your inner critic said, along with I'm sorry and your 2 compliments. Seeing these thoughts on paper, it can help you become more aware of the things that you're telling yourself. And as the days go by, you'll also see the list of your compliments grow bigger and bigger. And you'll see so many things that you like about yourself. And also when seeing everything on paper, you see the effort that you're putting in to yourself. From pure self-love, that you want to create a more kind inner world for yourself, which is beautiful. The effort you're putting in to create a more happier life, which you should feel very proud of. So writing these new thoughts down helps to solidify these new thoughts that you want to embrace. It makes it easier to say goodbye to the old critical ones and say hello and welcome to the new kind ones. Also, when your inner critic speaks, you can imagine a loved one saying the same thing but to themselves. You can also imagine yourself saying it to a loved one. Because the thing is, we often have a hard time giving ourselves the same grace and the same love that we love giving to others. And that's why I love this exercise. So look at your list of negative inner thoughts. Imagine someone that you love saying those things to yourself, or imagine yourself saying that to them. Like your best friend, your sibling, your parents, even yourself as a child. This exercise can be heartbreaking, and it's also so eye-opening. Because you would never want them to say those things about themselves, and you would never say that to them. You love and you admire them. They deserve kindness, and so do you. Don't talk to yourself in a way that you wouldn't talk to others. I think this is a powerful way to reinforce the idea of saying goodbye to your inner critic and replacing it with compassion. And finally, you just gotta keep going. Remember that one thing that's so amazing about our minds is that after a while, it remembers for us. Like when we learned how to walk, we had to concentrate hard. Okay, now I'm gonna put one foot in front of the other. How do I do that? Okay, I need to lift and then I need to move. Like, it was such a process to learn, I remember. And the same goes with our thoughts. If you consistently direct your brain into kind, accepting, and loving self-talk, you'll start doing that soon automatically, without even thinking about it. Because now you walk and you don't even think about it. Like one foot in front of the other, I got that. And it's gonna be the same with your thoughts. So this is how I think that you can create a better inner world, a more kind inner world. Because the critic doesn't belong there. It's your world and yours only. And of course, we need to give ourselves tough love sometimes. But what I find is that we tend to be our harshest critic without even realizing it. We can work towards improving ourselves and keeping ourselves accountable without bullying ourselves in the process. So, after this video, I want you to make it clear what you deserve. Stand in front of the mirror and become conscious about the thoughts that arise. When they arise, don't allow it. You say, hey, that's not nice. That's not true. Say you're sorry and give yourself 2 compliments. Write these down and track your progress. Imagine a loved one saying these things to themselves. Feel how that feels. Realize that you should feel the same way if you're hearing yourself saying it to yourself. And remember that consistency is key. Keep going and your brain will start working for you. You can show up for yourself. You value yourself enough to create a better life. And a mean inner critic does not belong there. Because every time you challenge your inner critic, you're taking one step closer towards saying goodbye to that negative voice once and for all. You deserve a life full of kindness. That starts with how you speak to yourself. It's time to say goodbye to your inner critic and give up space to a more loving, supporting, and kind inner voice.